Hi guys, this is Sai Kumar Kurtiwada. In this video, we will learn what is the difference between event handlers and event listeners in JavaScript. I have discussed about event handlers and event listeners in my previous videos. Please watch that for better understanding. Let me quickly jump into Visual Studio Code. Here, I have created all these button elements in my previous video, and now let me remove all this, and also you don't have anything in our body. So now let's understand what is the difference between these two, event listeners and event handlers. So let me try to show you what is the problem with our event handlers. So for example, you have a button element, and let me create a button element with document dot create element of what is my element name. The element name is button, and now for this button I can give a type, or btn element dot type is equal to button. It's a button type. And now let me use button element dot inner html. Let me label this as dynamic event handler, and then let me use btn element dot on click property, or an event, and for this let me assign some method, and this is nothing but a event handler. Let me try to add first event, and now let me use our document dot body dot append child of, I'm appending this child to my body content of html, and whenever the user clicks on this button, that particular button will render this first event. Go here and reload. Now you got button dynamic event handler. Let me go to the console, click on this. Now first event has been called. For example, if I want to add, or if someone want to add a event which is same like on click, then which one will be invoked? For example, btn element dot on click is equal to one more arrow function, and now console dot log of second event. Let me save this, go here and reload. Whenever I click on the dynamic event handler, then second event is called. That means the first event, whatever we are writing here on this button element, that is overridden by this particular function. And if you want to remove that listener also, we will be making that on click as null, so that that will not have any of the events. That is the default on click event handler, which will not have any handlers for that particular on click. Whereas listeners will work in a different fashion. So for example, let me create one more button, const btn element 2 is equal to document dot create element of button, and then let me add btn element dot type is equal to submit, and then btn element dot inner html is equal to, let me add dynamic listeners, and now let me add this to our document dot body dot append child of, I'm adding btn element 2 to my body content. Let me save this, go here and reload. You can see that we don't have any value because it is button element. We need to add it to button element 2. Let me save this and go here, reload. Now dynamic listener and dynamic event handlers. Now instead of using event handler, what I'll try to do is, let me create const function 1 is equal to, let me use an arrow operator, and inside this console.log of, I'm adding a listener 1, and then let me create the same replica of this function and change the name to function 2, and let me change to listener 2. Save this. Now I want to add these listeners to my button element 2. That means button element 2 dot add event listeners of, what is my listener type? It's of click type, and then comma. So let me use that function 1. This is my event listener 1, and btn element 2 dot add event listener of, I have one more click event on this, and then let me write function 2 and save this, go here, let me reload. If you reload and click on this dynamic listener, it is calling two listeners. That means how many listeners you want to add on a particular element which is having an event, then that many different handlers or different listeners you can add to your events. So that is how it works. And let me reload dynamic listener. If you want to add 10 more listeners, you can add the 10 more listeners to your button element. So this is how it works with the event listeners. Now to summarize this, event listeners, you can add n number of event listeners to a particular event element, and you can add only one handler to your elements. And point number two to remember is it is our responsibility to remove these event listeners from our DOM elements when the element is not available. For example, due to some button clicks, I am hiding this button or showcasing this button. Whenever it is hiding, then it is our responsibility to remove the event listener. Nowadays, modern browsers are supporting add event listener and remove event listeners by itself, but some of the old versions of IE, Internet Explorer, and Microsoft Edge, they are not supporting the remove event listeners automatically. That is why it is our responsibility to remove the event listeners whenever the DOM is not present on your UI. And also, I want to let you know about Techzette. Techzette is a platform on Medium where you can learn all the backend stuff. Mainly, it is focused on the Adobe Experience Management, Magento, as well as OSGI, along with the basics of Java. And you can see the Sling framework completely. So just have a click on the link below in the description and have a look on this Medium blog. If you like, please like, share, follow Medium blog. Hope you like my explanation. If you like my video, like, share, subscribe to my channel for more updates. Signing off. Thank you.